everybody, and how are you doing today? I'm Makeda Valletta, also known as the Body Scientist, and I'm live on my IG page. I will save this and repost it to my YouTube page, so make sure you follow me on both places. And in case you're unfamiliar with me, I am a strength and conditioning coach, a sports nutritionist, a doula, a sacred sexual educator. I have committed my life to studying all the things to take our body to the highest level. Hey, Claudia. And of course, our mind controls our body. Of course, so when you talk about physical performance, it's a manifestation as well of our mind. And mental health is connected to our physical health. Okay, some people put one over the other. They both affect each other, right? So if you want to talk about physical health, you can't talk about physical health and ignore the mental side of things, because even some people have physical issues because they have mental, it's coming from their mind. Okay, so. And even to get through a very strong workout or to play a sport, it takes mental engagement, right? And so there's many different aspects to performance and health, and it's also about nature and nurture. It's about our genetics, our personalities and how we look, all those things. It has to do with our genetics, what we inherit from our parents and our ancestors, but it also has to do with nurture, the environment in which we were grown, okay? What we were fed, what was around us, the conditions. Okay, whether you're talking about animals or plants, they're completely affected by the environment in which it was grown. So you have nature and nurture. So I'm saying all this to say that, one thing that I feel like is extremely important is the awareness of narcissists, right? And maybe like 5 years ago, I became very much, I really started to study and learn what a narcissist is, because a lot of people hear that term and they think a narcissist is somebody who is just full of themselves, somebody who's conceited and they just full of themselves. But narcissism is a serious mental disorder, okay, personality disorder. Narcissists are very manipulative, okay, and once you understand how to recognize the signs of a narcissist, you can spot them, okay, and there are many of them amongst us, okay. Now, and they can be dangerous people, all right? Now, let's just say there are, I'm just making up a number. Let's say there's 15 narcissistic traits clinically, okay? And you have to have 8 of them to be considered a narcissist. What that means is that not all narcissists have all the same traits, okay? So it can manifest and look a little bit differently, right? But there's one common thread about them, and that they definitely wear masks, okay? They create illusions, and they're very manipulative. And so I'm setting up this background because I want to talk about this whole, I don't know if you've seen what's going on with Russell Simmons and his daughters right now, okay, in Kamora Lee. And I'm reading the comments of people, okay, so in case you're not aware, if you're not aware, you will be soon because it's all over social media. But yesterday, one of Russell Simmons' daughters posted a Happy Father's Day post to her mom. And then today I see these posts and I noticed a couple of days ago, I saw some posts from one of Russell's daughters who graduated from Harvard. And I see all these graduation pictures. And I noticed that Russell wasn't there. And I was like, that's weird, because I think she graduated from Harvard early, and it was a really big accomplishment. And I noticed that he wasn't there, and I found that strange, right? So today I see these videos by Aoki, I think, and she's crying, and she's talking about how manipulative he had been, okay? How manipulative he had been over the years, how he, constantly trashed her mom, and when she spoke up about it as a minor, he would, end her health care and shut up her phone bill and do these things, okay? Now, I'm going to say this. Now, a lot of people have thought that I'm being dramatic, okay? Because when I tell you that I study all the ways to take our body to its highest level, I study a lot of different things when it comes to performances. Yeah, he's in Bali trying to avoid rape charges. Exactly. I'm about to get into that. Okay. From years ago, when they said that Russell Simmons was meditating for hours every day, I knew then that something was wrong with him. I knew then that he was batshit crazy, because I'm sorry, every single man that I know, have ever known, who tell me I meditate for 2 hours a day, I meditate 3 hours every day. Every man who I've ever known who does that is out of their minds. Okay. Period. So if a man tells me he meditates 2 hours every day, 3 hours every day, I'm going to think he's crazy. I'm going to know he's crazy, okay? So Russell Simmons I'm on his meditation retreats, and I have this yoga studio on South Beach, and he had accusations from yoga instructors. There were accusations from people in the industry, women in the industry, all these rape charges, okay? Now let's look at Russell Simmons. And it doesn't mean that you have to be, there are attractive men who are also rapists and manipulative. But Russell Simmons is a terrible looking man, okay? He groomed, he looks like Jiminy the Cricket or something, okay? He groomed Kamora Lee, a beautiful young girl who's a teenager, okay? Groomed her, okay? Sign of a narcissist. They groom people, okay? Groomed this young, beautiful girl where he was too old for her to begin with, okay? And narcissists who have money will use money to manipulate, cutting people off. And so this whole talk of women needing to depend on men and, oh, men don't like bosses. I mean, there's been talk lately in the black community about that, which is nonsense, because my family is full of female bosses. They all have husbands who are also bosses, and they've been together forever, okay? They're like in their 80s, and they've been together since the beginning of time. And their men are not intimidated by them being bosses. But it is not smart. No father, okay? No father in his right mind would teach his daughter to just sit around, twiddle her thumbs, have nothing to do or think, and just wait around and be dependent on a man to take care of her. That's not smart. That's not a smart position to be in, okay? When you're in those type of positions, it makes you much more likely to be in a situation where a man can manipulate you and you can't do anything because you're totally dependent on him to. Not good, okay? Now, and you could end up in the hand of a narcissist. Anyhow, when you see, talking about like, he cut them off when they were in college, trying to finish school, and people are constantly talking about this generational wealth. What's the point of being a multimillionaire if you can't pay for your daughters to go to college? And then he's threatening them, saying that he'll end their careers, and because he has all this power. So then when someone has all this power, people can know that you're wrong, that people are still at your beck and call. People could know that you're wrong, but because you're so powerful and they know they can get a job from you and they can get money from you, they're going to be shucking and jiving at your beck and call. So that's what you see. But, Russell Simmons, like when somebody just said, he's in Bali right now because he got all these rape charges. Okay, so to me, there's so many signs of, the man's an abuser, okay? And his daughter even posted a video of him yelling like a crazy person into the screen. But like I told you, before he had the rape charges, I already knew when he said he was meditating every day for 3 hours. And if you remember in like Def Comedy Jams, he never said anything. Every single week in Def Comedy Jams, he'd be like, thank you for coming out. God bless you. Good night. Like, that's weird. That's weird. Like, weirdo, okay? So, and I see a lot of people saying, oh, these rich kids, they're just complaining because their rich father won't take care of them. Oh, why don't they get a job? And da-da-da-da-da. When both of them have graduated from college. And what they're talking about is not materialistic things at all. They're talking about, their father using, abuse and manipulation, talking horribly about their mother to them. Aoki was saying that the father calls all the time and says, your mother's a cunt, and calls them all those names. That's terrible. And to see all these people defending him, saying, oh, they're just spoiled kids. You never see Kamora Lee say anything, right? And so I'm just saying it's important to be able to recognize the signs of a narcissist because they are everywhere, and what they will do, they manipulate. They'll turn people against you. They wear masks. They wear a mask in public. They might seem like the nicest person, but behind closed doors, they're like a freaking demon. They're a totally different person. And when you're around a narcissist, you'll notice that. They can be very charming. But every now and then the mask drops off, and then they're like a totally different person. And then sometimes they apologize for it, but then once they get you back in their grips, they do it worse the next time. They can be very controlling and manipulative, never admit that they're wrong. It's an issue. So I just had to say something about that because I was very bothered by people's responses, thinking that, Aoki is, his daughters are ungrateful and they're just spoiled rich kids, when it's like, I definitely noticed how he was absent from college graduation pictures. Why would you be absent from college graduation pictures? And you're a rich man, so why couldn't you make it to graduation? You can't say you were working. You're not an actor doing movies, so you're not Beyonce on tour, so why couldn't you make it to your daughter's graduation? You know what I'm saying? So with stuff like that, there's just, and I feel like that needs to be called out. People will say, oh, people should stop putting their personal business on social media, but people like him who are famous, it's good for them to be called out. Because there's so many men in, hip-hop industry, entertainment industry who are, they put on this mask like they're this, these great people, and they're doing evil things behind closed doors and being manipulative. Now, one thing I can say about Puffy, right? People can debate about whether or not Puffy's a good person. I have my, opinions about that. Him as a person is a different conversation about him as a father. Because Puffy, he has a few children by a few different women. He seems like he has a great relationship with all of his kids. He has twin daughters and another daughter he had 2 women pregnant at the same time. So the twin daughters and the other daughter, they're always together, always together. He doesn't like favor the twins over this one. They're like triplets, okay? And he has a very close relationship. So he might be something else as a person in business or whatever, but he definitely looks like a good father. And you see how he doesn't just take pictures with his kids, like how he, especially with his daughters, because I have a soft spot for fathers and daughters. But you see how he is with his with his daughters, and how he would be like really into what they were doing and very supportive. So it's like that makes all the difference, and how somebody being raised by a narcissistic parent and being raised by a parent who is talking bad about the other parent and doing these, trying to be controlling, that affects somebody's mental health. That affects how they grow and develop, And I think it's important for it to be called out when someone like Russell Simmons, just like if you had a woman who was also guilty of doing that. There are women out here who are terrible mothers. There are women out here who are also narcissistic and who will keep, their child away from the father and be making up stuff. Those women should be called out too, especially when that person's famous, rich and famous and controlling and on a platform to manipulate people, and the world admires them. Imagine if you had a piece of shit father and the world's coming up to you telling you how much they love your dad and how your dad is so great. And that's not what you're seeing at all, because they see the mask, the fake person. And doing that to your children is terrible. It's not cool. So I just had to speak my piece on that. And I'm just very bothered by people defending him. It's like, okay, too many black people want to defend abusers, just like you have, and they don't know how to observe the obvious. You have to observe the obvious, okay? You have too many black people who they find out their pastor is an abuser, and it's like, oh no, not my pastor, okay? And they're over there molesting little boys. Not just black people. You got people in the Catholic Church, same thing. You know what I'm saying? And narcissists hide in religious institutions. A lot of times they could be religious leaders, okay? They could be rich people, and they could just be regular people, okay? But definitely they love to hide in positions of power, okay? And so people have to observe no signs of a narcissist, observe the obvious, at all times, not get sucked into the bullshit, all that is super important. But I think it's disgusting what Russell Simmons is doing, and I just had to point this out too, because like I said, I study health, physical and mental, and like I said, I stand by my point that any man who's saying that he meditates 2 or 3 hours every single day is out of his mind, okay? I have consistently seen that, I believe that, and I'm going to stick to it. And so I knew that this man was crazy as hell when he said that. So I'm going to end it there, and we'll see what happens, okay? I actually got to go myself, and go be with my dad. But and that's the thing for me. I value the time that I've spent with my dad and the things he's taught me. Real valuable time, and it's not just about people being rich. My dad wasn't rich, but my dad had real conversations with me, spent real valuable time with me, taught me a lot, protected me, okay, defended me, uplifted me, okay. Not tried to, oh, you're rich and the whole world loves you. And my dad has told me many times, the accolades that I've gotten, whatever awards that I've won, whatever, scholar or whoever compliments me, what means the most to me is that you and your brother admire me, that you and your brother love me, that you and your brother are proud of what I've done. He always says that. And it's like, there are people out here who, it's like their children are like pawns. They really don't care. They really weren't involved. They just have them to look a certain way to the world, okay? That's another thing narcissists do. They'll put certain things, they'll either get into certain positions, like they make them look like a good person, like a religious leader, or, they put themselves in these different positions, and sometimes they might you do stuff for the community, but then you're beating your wife at home. You know what I'm saying? So it's very contradictory. But, people like Russell Simmons need to be called out, and he needs to be ashamed of himself, and everybody who's defending him does too, okay? So I'm going to end that with that. And, okay. Have a good day, people. Bye.